Hey everyone, welcome to another training video in this PowerShell series. In this video, I will talk about PowerShell Help System. The PowerShell Help System is very important to run the commands efficiently and without errors. In this video, you will learn about different strategies where I will share my experience with you that you can run the commands without any issues in any application or service you manage. My name is Navneet Kumar and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. In any programming or scripting language, it is very important to understand the logic of that scripting language or programming language, because you can not only memorize the commands or the constructs and execute them. If you understand the logic of the scripting language, how to use it, then you can apply that to any application that you manage with this. Well, without any further ado, let's have a look into the PowerShell's help system, how we can use this robust help system to manage various applications.
To use the help system of PowerShell, you can use a command called get help or its built-in alias, that's help, or you can use man. To get the help of a command, you need to type the name of that command right after that. For an instance, this command is get service. I want to understand what are the capabilities of this command or a function. When you hit enter, you see the name of this command, a brief of this command, and the syntax to run the PowerShell commands. And there are multiple parameter sets. These parameter sets will vary command to command. So this command has three parameter sets in it: 1, 2, and 3. Few commands may have more than that as well. So it depends completely on the development of the command, how it's been done. You also can take help of the command by using this dash question mark. And if I show you the help of this command, so you will notice that this command has 6 different parameter sets. Let's get back to our previous command, which is get service. This help you see is actually an encrypted help. You must be thinking that it is a plain text and it doesn't seem encrypted. What do I mean by encryption? That this help has a few brackets, these square brackets you see over here, and each bracket has its own meaning that you will have to decrypt so that you can use the commands efficiently. So in this video, we will be decrypting this help. In these three parameter sets, you will see that there is a unique capability of each set. For an instance, in this set, there is a parameter provided which is display name, which means that I can get the services of a system by their display name. Or the second one is having input object. So I can pipe the objects, service controller objects, from the command or script or a function on the left of it. And the third option is that I can get the services by their name. You will observe that this display name is available in this set and is not available into any other set in this command. In this set, it is input object which is unique and it is not available into the first or the third set. In the third set, we have name which is not available in the first or second set. There is no such parameter like name. But there will be some common parameters like the computer name. Here you see the computer name in all three parameter sets, which means when I will use the command get service, I can either use display name or I can use input object or the name, but not the two together. I cannot mix and match these parameters. So suppose if I'm going with name, I will have to have a stick with this parameter set, and I can use computer name in that command, dependent services, exclude, include, or required services, or common parameters for error action, for verbose, or for debugging purpose. So I will be able to use these parameters only, but not the input object or the display name. Let's have a look over here how this works. I run a command get service which lists all the services on this system. If I do get service by the name, let me take the name of one of the service here and I hit enter. So you will notice that this service will be displayed. The command works. But if I want to use computer name, of course I can use that as well. I can define it. The problem is with display name. If I go with display name, I'm using single quote here because in the display name of this service there are few spaces, white spaces, and PowerShell is picky about them. I will hit enter. Now it cannot resolve this parameter set because I mixed the two parameters from two different sets. I used name and display name together in single command, which I cannot use. Either I will use display name or I will use name, because these are the two different capabilities of this command and you cannot mix them. This is how the developer has defined this command or developed this command. Later when we will work on the advanced functions in PowerShell, so I will show you that how we create these different parameter sets or capabilities for a particular command or function. With display name, I can use computer name because it was there in this another parameter set also, because computer name was available in all three sets we have seen. Let's take another example. This example is for get process. If I take help for get process, I see the name and the ID. Where I have ID, I don't have the option of name. That means that I can get the processes by their ID, process ID, but I cannot use the name along with that. If I'm using name, I cannot use ID with that. I can use computer name or other parameters available in these sets. All I need to do is I'll do get process, name of the process. For an instance, I go with PowerShell process. This is PowerShell process. You will see if I use computer name, this is completely fine with that because that parameter set has a parameter computer name. But if I use ID, which is actually not available in the same parameter set, there is a different parameter set for ID. So I will get that same exception that parameter set cannot be resolved and it is ambiguous parameter set that we have seen last time. So this is something we need to take care while we use the parameters in the command, that we do not mix and match them from different parameter sets. In this case, I used the get service or get process to find out the unique parameters or capabilities of that command. Sometimes you may encounter some of the commands which have multiple parameter sets. I mean, they might have almost a dozen of parameter sets, and each parameter set has dozens of parameters in them. So it might become a challenging job for you to figure out that what is the unique parameter in that particular command. Okay. For an instance, if I use this new PS session and I take help for this command to create a PowerShell session, I see these sets of the command 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. There are 6 parameter sets. But now it is difficult to identify that what is unique in each of them. I will have to check with each of the parameter set that whether it is available in this or not. Can I mix it with that or not? You can make this job easy if you have PowerShell IAC on your system, which is there by default on the client machine. Then you can use this show command. Either you can hit this show command directly, it will launch the command pane of the PowerShell IAC, or you can launch the PowerShell IAC as well. So the show command will provide you the graphical interface, and there you can put your command and you can see that what are the different parameter sets available. For an instance, if I show you for that get service I was using earlier, so here you will notice that it has default name, default parameter actually, which has these parameters, and name is their part of it. It has second parameter set, which is display name, so it can find the services by display name, and the display name is a mandatory parameter in this set. But the default set is the one that PowerShell will go with by default. So that is the reason when you run get service command, so it does not ask any parameter input. Then input object is the third parameter set. The same way, if I show you that get process, which was having 6 different parameter sets, so those will be displayed here. Name by ID with username, input object, name with username, and input object with username. In the same way, if I go with this new PS session, so to create a new PowerShell session for doing the remoting, and I will see that there is one with computer name. I can make the connection with the remote machine. Container ID, session, VM name, VM ID, and by the URI. So these are the options. I can provide the fields over here. Suppose I want to go with the computer name. So in this, I will have to provide the computer name here with which I want to make a session. Suppose this is London DC1. And I can copy this command and I can run that here, or I can run this command directly over here to create a session. This show command is showing all the commands to you when you use the show command, or you could have specified that command that you are looking to work with. So suppose new PS session, so you can provide the input directly over here to this command as well, and this time it will launch the command pane only for that particular command. And this is nothing but the PowerShell IAC. So if I launch the PowerShell IAC, I shown you that earlier in that previous video that there is a command pane on the PowerShell IAC, which is dockable. You can dock it on another monitor, or it is on the right side of the PowerShell IAC. Here you can launch that. So this is what that command pane we have seen, and it makes your job easy to identify the different parameter sets of a PowerShell command. Well, now if we are good with this, parameter set, logic of that parameter set, that is the very first thing that we need to take care while we are working with PowerShell commands, that we do not mix and match the parameters of these different parameter sets. And these parameter sets, as I mentioned earlier, will vary command to command. One command can have only one parameter set or can have more than one also. I've shown you all the commands with multiple parameter sets. If I show you a command, let's say new Active Directory user, I want to create. So this command will have only one parameter set, you will notice. This is how we deal with these parameter sets. So here you see this command has only one parameter set. Well, after this, let's explore this help further. If I show you this help now once again, you will notice that the help has multiple square brackets and each bracket has some meaning in it. Okay, so what is that? Let's decrypt that help. So the first thing comes for the parameters that we have available in PowerShell. So PowerShell has parameters or argument names to provide the user inputs or the arguments or the value you provide for the PowerShell commands that it will process. So for that, we have two type of parameters. We can classify them into these two categories. These parameters can be either mandatory. Mandatory parameter means that you will have to provide that parameter to the command. Command will not complete without that. Suppose if I want to make a new Active Directory user, so this new AD user command will have a mandatory parameter called name. So I will have to provide the name for the user. Then only it will be able to create the user. So test user 1 and user account is created. Whereas the commands can have optional parameters that either you can provide or you can ignore them. So like in this command, name parameter was mandatory. Test user 2 I'm creating this time, and department is, let's say, IT. So this is how I can create this user with optional parameter values specified. So country I want to provide, department, city. So these are other parameters which are actually optional parameters. But how will I identify that which parameter is mandatory and which is optional? So that is quite simple to check. You can go with this new AD user command and then take help for this command. If you observe the help of this command over here, you will notice that the parameter name and the value for that parameter are not in one bracket. That means that the parameter is mandatory. So mandatory parameters are displayed like this, that the parameter, this is the parameter name, and this is the value, I must say, because this parameter can accept integer, boolean, or any kind of value that it is designed with. Data casting is done. So parameter name and value are not in one bracket, it means it is mandatory. This can be in this way as well. This bracket is not there, but it doesn't make the difference to the logic I discussed, that the parameter name and the value are not in one bracket. Whereas if you see the parameter which are optional, they will look like this, that the parameter and its value that it accepts both will be in one square bracket. This makes the parameter optional. Here we go. If you have a look at this account not delegated or any parameter in this command apart from this name, so those parameters are there in one square bracket with their values, like it accepts boolean value, it accepts secure string, but here the parameter name and its value are in one square bracket, which makes it optional. So this is the only logic that you need to remember, that okay, parameter and value are not in one bracket, it means mandatory. I will discuss about this another bracket where the parameter itself is in a bracket. So this situation can be either like this, or this situation can be this way as well. So if I put another way of a mandatory parameter, how it may look like, it can be this way as well, where the parameter itself is in a bracket. But we will decrypt the logic of this second bracket shortly. Okay, so this is another case. Okay, so it can be this way as well. Let me just make another copy of it. But the logic is still same, that in the first case, parameter and its value are not in one bracket, and in the second case the parameter and its value are in one bracket. Okay, so when parameter and value are in one bracket, that means the parameter is optional. Just ignore this second bracket for some time, we will discuss that shortly. So this is how we work with the mandatory and optional parameters in PowerShell commands. If you take full help of a PowerShell command like help get service, and then I take full help, and excuse me about the shortcut that I used here. This command is actually get help, and I did not type the parameter name because it is positional. I'll discuss that shortly. And now if I show you the full help of the PowerShell command, so it is literally mentioned also, it is documented here that whether the parameter is mandatory or not. Like in this command, you will see name is not a mandatory parameter in the get service command. Okay, and the display name is actually a required parameter. So this is the full help, which shows you the parameters, that whether those parameters are mandatory or not. You also can get the help of the command, particular command, let's say this get service, and then parameter specific help also you can take. For an instance, I'm saying display name. I don't want to see the help of all other parameters and the entire command. I want to know what I can provide to the display name, what has been developed, and why shall I use this parameter, and then whether this parameter is required or not. So it clearly mentions over here that the parameter is required. Now you must be thinking like then why shall I care about that logic of those brackets, or I need to remember that when in the full help it is already documented that whether the parameter is required or not. The answer to that is that when you develop these scripts and you want to develop them as a PowerShell Pro, efficiently you want to write the scripts. Okay, so in that case, what happens is that when you run any command, for instance, new AD user, so PowerShell ISE uses IntelliSense and it will flash the help for you in the right side for few seconds. So if you are good with the logic of these brackets, you can easily quickly identify that which parameter is mandatory and which parameter is optional in this command. So you need not to invest your time into finding the full help of that command or parameter specific help of that command. So you can efficiently put these commands into your PowerShell code. That is the reason that you should understand the logic of these brackets. So this is about mandatory parameters, which may look like this or like this, but the logic is same in both of the cases, that the parameter and value are not in one bracket. Okay, that does not change due to this second example that I gave, or second pattern of this. Okay, so parameter and value are not in one square bracket, whereas this is reverse in this case of optional parameters. In this, the parameters and values are in one square bracket. Now let's understand the other bracket, that is the second bracket. Why this bracket is? So in PowerShell, we use the shortcuts to run these commands. So we can make the PowerShell commands short. And for shortening the PowerShell commands, there are different ways. One of the method is using alias for the PowerShell commands or aliases. So PowerShell commands and parameters, excuse me. So PowerShell commands or parameters can have aliases or parameters. Okay, we can use aliases in PowerShell. If I show you an example over here, I run a command get service. Service name is, let's say, bit service. It runs fine, but for this command there is a built-in alias which is GSV. So which is a shortcut. It will refer to that command or call that command. So it does that same job. In the same way, you might have observed that lots of time I'm using the CLS to clear the host screen. So we have many aliases in PowerShell. If I do get alias, I'll come to know these aliases. I can create new aliases as well. And I will have a different video on aliases that you can visit for working with PowerShell aliases in more details. Aliases are not only for the commands, but these aliases can be for the parameters as well. For an instance, I use computer name London CL1. This command works fine. Now this computer name parameter also has an alias called CN. So if I use, it's not case sensitive, I can use small or capital. So CN is an alias for computer name that has been developed by the provider or the developer, that I can use this another or alternate option to call this parameter. So there can be aliases for the PowerShell commands or the parameters. Okay, we can use them in PowerShell. There are two advantages of using this, primarily two advantages. One is that it makes your command short. So if you have a lengthy command, then it makes it short. For example, I do get child item, and then the path I'm doing is, let's say, C Windows and system 32, and I want to see, let's say, few files from here, star.exe. So it will display those exe files from this system. Now this command seems a little bit lengthy, though this is a good thing as well, because it makes sense to the reader of this command that what the command will do. But the command is lengthy. I want to make it short, so I can use dir as the alias. So command is shortened. Then I hit enter, and then it does that same job. Well, this second advantage of using the alias is that it makes the command shell administrators or Linux administrators easier to run these PowerShell commands. So I can use ls if I'm a Linux administrator, and it will work, because for this command we have these aliases. So actually the command, if I show you the alias, and the definition of the command was get child item, but it has few aliases for it. One is get child item is referred by dir for command shell administrators. For Linux administrators, it is ls, and for PowerShell born administrators, it is gci. If you are a PowerShell user, and this alias can also be used. So one command can have multiple aliases. All you need to do is you need to put that command and check that whether there is an alias. For an instance, I want to know the alias for get process command, so I can put get process and then see what aliases for this command are available. For instance, this is ps, so I can type ps, name of the PowerShell process is get process. So it is actually get process command, okay, that I called by using this ps, or I could have used gps as well. That will also do the same job. Well, this is the one thing that we use for the shortcuts in the PowerShell. Second way of making the shortcuts in PowerShell is the positional parameters. So positional parameters actually have a reserved position in the command. So what are these positional parameters? How do they work? In this command, you see name over here. If this parameter is positional, then I can omit it, and PowerShell will automatically feed this input provided by me to the name parameter if the name is positional. So the command works, and then yes, this was a positional parameter, and I need not to type the name of the parameter. But wait, don't literally remove all the parameters from your command. Do not assume that all the parameters will be positional, right? So if I go with this computer name this time and I try to remove the computer name, so you will observe that I'll get the error that a position parameter is not found for this argument you have provided, which is London CL1. And the reason behind that is that the computer name is not positional parameter. Now the question is, how will I identify that which parameter is positional and which one is not? So here comes that second bracket that I was talking about, that the parameter name itself is in a square bracket. If the parameter itself is in a square bracket, that means that this parameter is positional. Now let me show you the help of this get process command. So if I show you the help, you will observe that in this command, this name parameter is positional because the parameter is in a square bracket. The first bracket is representing that the parameter is optional, okay, because name and the string value are in one bracket. But because the parameter itself is in a square bracket, it makes it positional. So I can omit that while using it in the command. Whereas the computer name is not positional, okay, because the parameter itself is not in a bracket. Have a look at the ID. Can you predict that whether this ID a positional parameter or not? And if I don't type this command, whether this parameter in this command, so whether it will work or not. For an instance, I run this command, and then I want to get the process by the ID, not by the name. So can I put the ID directly over here? Will that be accepted? So here I take that ID, and what PowerShell will do, PowerShell will literally feed that ID to this name parameter, and you get the error that a process cannot be found with this name, okay, because it is feeding this value to the name parameter, because the first position in the command is reserved for the name, okay. So ID is not positional. If you are using ID, then you will have to mention it. When we have to mention a parameter, so this is called named parameter, okay, versus named parameter. Named parameter is something that you will have to have name in the PowerShell command. You cannot omit that. And how do they look like? They look like this. They are not enclosed in a square bracket. Okay, so this is how the named parameters work. Now a command can have more than one positional parameter in it as well. For an instance, if I take the help of the command which is new-ad user, and I want to know that what are the parameters available in this command and whether they are positional or not, and what is their position numbers. Okay, so this command has tons of parameters. Let me take another command. For an instance, I want to make a new AD group instead of user. So here you will notice that the command has these parameters, and out of these parameters there might be few of them as positional. So name is positional, I can identify here because the parameter itself is in a bracket. It is also mandatory because you see parameter and value are not in one bracket. That means it is mandatory parameter. It is required to run this command, to complete this command. Group scope is also mandatory because parameter and value are not in one bracket, but it is positional as well. So I can omit it and I can put the value directly. The value it will accept are the validate set values, which are domain, local, global, or universal, the type of groups that I can create. Okay, so parameters may have predefined values. Group category. This group category parameter is optional. Okay, so because the parameter and value are in one bracket, and also it is not positional, it is named actually. You see, the parameter itself is not in a bracket, so it is a named parameter type. Now I can also identify this thing in the PowerShell commands here, and I was here to show you the position numbers of these parameters. Name, group scope, and name and group scope are the two positional parameters we have seen over here. Rest of them seem named parameters. Okay, so let's have a look into the name and group scope. So you see group scope has the second position in this command, whereas the name has the first position in this command, which means when I will run this command, so at the first position I'll put the value for the name. So when I will create a new Active Directory group, so I will put the name here, test group 1, and group scope is let's say global, and I hit enter. So the group is created, and it is by default security because I have not defined that group category. Okay, because it was an optional parameter and it has a default value security. But if I want to make distribution group, I can change that by providing the parameter. Well, now if I omit this from here, this name, so it will work because we have seen that the parameter is positional. I'll change the name of this object, and then the group scope is also positional. So on that position I can provide this value global or domain, local, universal, whatever type of group you want to create, and hit enter. Now the group has been created and I omitted both of the parameters from this command. But wait, do not try to interchange the values. If I put global first and then the name of the group after that, there will be a problem. The problem is that we have seen already that it sends the command, it sends this input directly to the position of that parameter. So global will be sent to name and test group 3 will be sent to group scope. This might be fine that I want to create a group by the name global. It will accept that. But the problem will come here for the group scope, because for group scope we have seen that there are predefined values like global, domain, local, or universal. So it will not accept this value. Okay, so I will get an exception, or I'm assuming an exception that this parameter cannot accept this value because it is not validated set values that are accepted. So it is not that type, cannot convert value to this. Okay, cannot bind it with that. The problem is there in this command. You see this red wavy line is coming up over here to show you the problem. So it is saying that the value can be either domain, local, global, or universal. So you cannot, or you should not interchange these values of these interchange the position of these parameters. Okay, Now let's do some further brainstorming around this. Now suppose this is I want to create this group 4, and now I provide the description for this. The description parameter is not a positional parameter, it is actually named parameter. So I'm providing some description for demo only. This group has been created in this directory. And then global. Will this command work? This time here the name has been omitted because it is positional. A named parameter is being used in the middle, and then the group scope has been omitted from this command because it is positional. So will it work? Answer is yes. The reason behind that is that the named parameter will not make any difference to the positions of these parameters. Still, the positions of the parameters are number 1 and number 2, because this parameter is a named parameter. And in fact, not only one, but I can put as many as named parameters. For an instance, I want to create define group category. I want to make this group as a distribution group or something else. So you see the command will work without any error. The reason behind that is that these are the named parameters and they do not interfere into changing the position of these parameters. These values are still being sent to their respective parameters like name and group scope, because for these values I have provided a parameter to which this value will be sent. So this is how we can deal with the second bracket, which is to identify that the parameters are positional or not. We were talking about shortening the PowerShell commands. The third method of shortening the PowerShell command is to use the truncated parameters, we call them. So truncated parameters. What are truncated parameters? Suppose there is no alias for a parameter, or the parameter is not positional as well. For an instance, this description. So this parameter is not positional. I cannot omit it, otherwise I'll get the error. So if I omit it from the command, I'll get the error. I'm giving a value here 5, and then I hit enter and I get the error that cannot bind parameter so and so. Okay, now what I can do is to make this command short. I can use truncated parameters. I can delete few letters from this parameter. But how many characters I can remove from here? Suppose if I go with this DESC, so I can hit tab to check that whether there is any other conflicting parameter in this command. Answer is no. I'm hitting tab, there is no other parameter populated. DES, no. DE, no. Only D. With D letter, description, display name, there are many. Okay, so when I want to use description, so I need to use at least DE. I can make it that short. Okay, but try to reduce it, try to not reduce it very much, otherwise it will reduce the readability of your command, that what this DE means. Here I say this is DE, and then bind this value distribution. So group categories, distribution, global, it's fine. So let me use DES and hit enter. The group already exists. So, okay, my command is working. The problem is with the group is already existing this time. So I go with this number 5. And now you will notice here that this command parameter has been accepted after truncating it. Okay. The same thing I can do with the group category. You need to ensure that it is not conflicting with other parameter. Suppose if I go only with group over here, if I truncate it that short, so then we have group category and group scope. So PowerShell will be confused with that. Okay. So I will say group C at least. Okay, for group category. And okay, because this object exists, I will have to change the object and the command will work. This is about truncated parameters, how we can truncate the parameters if the parameter is neither positional nor having any alias of it, and I want to make the command short. So this is the way of shortening the PowerShell commands, which is not recommended while you are documenting the commands. It is only advised to use them when you are running the commands to manage the servers or systems interactively, running the commands interactively to run them or type them quickly. Because if you document them in a script, it makes it difficult for others to read your script, that what you have mentioned basically there, okay, what you have done there. So this is the way of shortening the PowerShell commands. Now let's talk about the third bracket. You will see another square bracket in the PowerShell commands. Let's say get service command. Here you will notice that there is a bracket in the value over here. This bracket means that this is an array. Array means that it can accept more than one comma separated value. So this blank square bracket means that this is a system.string array and I can have multiple values. The same way this is also an array, can accept multiple values. For an instance, if I want to use get service, I want to use name, so I can use, let's say, this service, comma, let's say bit service, comma, and event log service, any service that I want to see. So comma separated, I can provide multiple objects over here because it was an array. But not all parameters are array. If I go to new AD user and I show the help, so it is actually decided by the developer that how the parameter will accept the inputs. So it can accept one or more than one input. This is not an array. So when you create a new Active Directory user, so it will not accept multiple values. If I go with new -AD user, username is, let's say, ABC user, ABC1. So this user account is created. But if I create ABC12 and comma and ABC123, so these user accounts will not be created because I'm putting more than one value to this parameter, and it is not an array. It cannot accept multiple values. So this is the another bracket. Now we can take the help for the PowerShell commands in different ways. I shown you one of the method to take help is get help command, name of the command that I want to use to take the help. Then I shown you the full help, which shows you the parameters help, that what each parameter is designed with, and it shows you many attributes of those parameters, like whether the parameter is required or not, whether it is positional or not. Okay. And then there are a few other attributes that we have not discussed so far, so we'll discuss them later in this series of PowerShell tutorials. Then there will be inputs, outputs, there will be some notes that the command can be called by its built-in alias, GSV, and so on. So the developer has given those notes, and then the developer has given the examples. There are ways to take this help further, that you can get the help which is detailed help. Detailed help is like full help, but the parameter specific help is not there. You don't see parameter attributes. So you see parameter and then what type of things it will accept, why it is designed, but not the attributes like whether it is required, mandatory, or so on. But you see rest of the things as well, like examples. You will be able to see them over here. Okay, you don't see the notes and other details. So this is detailed help, not the full help. Okay. Then we have another way to take the help with examples. So I can take only the examples if they have been documented by the developer. I can see all these examples and I can try these examples over there. So this is example number 6 to do all this. Okay. So you can work with different examples to learn different capabilities of that particular command or function. You can take help in a new window. Okay, so you can go to a you can open this help in a different window altogether. Okay, so examples, parameter specific help, you can take online. I'll show you. Show window you can use to see the help in a different window. If you have two monitors, then you can take this help to the other monitor, and you have free search being given over here. Also you can search for anything, suppose computer name, that will be highlighted over here. Okay, so that I can do. Then we have online help. I can take the help online. It will use the default browser and will connect to take the help. Okay, so it is using that as a truncated parameter. I forgot to type. I missed E. So this is the help that I can take the updated help from the internet for that command. So online help. Okay, this help can be updated on your system by using update help. You need not to wait for the operating system update. or the next release of the update to update the help of the PowerShell, you can use update help command to update the help. You can specify a particular module for which you want to update the help. For an instance, Active Directory. So it will update that particular module, not all of the modules. This parameter is optional. If you do not specify the module, it will update the help system of all the modules. So this is how you can update the help on a system which has internet access. Sometimes there might be a situation that the system has no internet access. Even outbound internet is not given on that system because it's your database server or certificate authority server, domain controller, or any critical application running that keeps this server offline. So in that case, if you want, you can download and save the help on a system which has internet access and then copy it locally to that server or system that has no internet. How do you do that? Let me create a folder over here. Let's say MD, and I want the help for this Active Directory module. So I use AD. I created a directory. I will run the command save help. For which module? If I don't define modules, then it will download the help of all the modules or for all the modules available on this system. Active Directory. Active Directory is the module name. Where do I want to save this? Destination path is going to be this AD folder that I created. So in this directory, this help will be saved. If I do dir to this AD, you will notice that there are two files. One is the cabinet file, which is for the authenticity of this file to have the digital signature of or proves the authenticity of this help. And this is literally the XML file with the help of it. Now you will move to that system which has no internet. You will copy it, or you can use the file server. You can put it on a shared folder, right? And then from there you can run the command on the system update help on that other machine I'm simulating here itself. So update help, and then you will define the module. Module is Active Directory. Remember, if you don't type the source that where from you want to take the help, it will go to the internet automatically, like last time we were running this update help command. But this time I will say source path, which can be the local path where I have this help like AD folder, or it can be the file server where you have kept it. So this will be your system. For an instance, London CL1 dollar, or let's say, excuse me, E dollar. I'm using administrative share because I have not shared that folder. Okay, so in that E drive, this folder name is AD. Okay, so this is how I can specify the help, and I can update the help from that particular file server. Or if it is local, then I will define that, okay, this is uh, okay, it will come up automatically. So here we go. So this is how I can update this help. So save help and update help commands are there. If you look for the help related commands, so you can get the command. We have already learned about that, and there is an alias for get command also, which is GCM. So get command by the noun help. These are the commands. I can get the help, I can save the help, and I can update the help. Now last but not least, this is topic based help in PowerShell. You can go with about files, about topics. So you can say help, about, and you can learn about anything in PowerShell from these topics. If you know the topic, then it is fine. Otherwise, you can say about star and it will list you all the topics available on that system. The help must be up to date on your system to see these about topics. You can run update help command to update the help first. Now, suppose I want to learn about the if statement in PowerShell, how it works. Maybe I know that how it works in other scripting languages, but how if works in PowerShell. So I'll say help about if. Okay, so it will give me the help about that. I want to know about aliases in PowerShell. Help about aliases. So it teaches you about or tells you about the aliases. Okay, all the commands related to aliases, how you can deal with them. So this is topic based help to take the or to understand that entire particular topic. For example, help about execution policies in PowerShell. What different execution policies are there? You can learn about them. So this shows that how robust the PowerShell's help system is, and it helps you in learning the new commands, their parameters, the parameter is being developed for what purpose, avoiding the errors. You can predict the output that whether this command will work or not if you know the help system of it. Okay, we discussed that multiple parameter sets, you cannot mix and match the mandatory parameters, optional parameters, positional parameters, named parameters. If you understand those concepts, then you can manage any application with the PowerShell commands and that it supports. Okay, of course, the PowerShell module must be there, and then you can avoid these errors. You can discover the hidden features of a PowerShell command or function, its capabilities, what different capabilities it can have. You can increase the efficiency of running these commands. You can save lots of your time, rather investing your time into the errors, those red screen you get during the execution of PowerShell commands. You can use that time to learn new commands or writing new codes. So these are the advantages of the help system, where you should invest your time to understand the help system of it. And the good thing is that you need not to memorize the commands. In fact, you cannot. So I do not memorize the commands, but I can manage any Microsoft application or VMware application through PowerCLI or some other modules if being provided. So I can run them easily because I know the logic of executing the PowerShell commands other than memorizing them. So that's all from this tutorial. I hope this tutorial was informative to you and you gain insights about the help system of PowerShell. See you in another tutorial. Thank you.